Hi everybody, this is Linda. Well, here's the promised gardening video. Now keep in mind everything is very little right now, and they're going to grow big time. And I don't have as many flowers as I usually do because flowers this year is so very expensive. One hanging basket of petunias was $25. I could not believe my eyes. I could not afford to buy even a small quart pot of flowers because they were $12 for a small pot that used to be $4.98. Everything is twice as much now. So I've got here only the perennials that I've planted before that are coming back, and a couple of flowers that I bought a few weeks ago. So let's get started. Jamie took this video for me, and I'm voiceovering it. These are double coreopses. This is a lily that it is red, very red on the center, and almost brown. These are red dianthus. These are purple salvia. These are, I call them purple passion. Here in the front, right here, they have a lavender flower that comes out at the tip of them, and they'll come back every year thicker. I don't think you can see it. He didn't get it, but I had some what do you call it? Hold on. Succulents. I'm sorry. I could not come up with that to save my soul. There's some up underneath here. I started them, and I brought them out here because they didn't do well in the house at all with not enough light. So I'm hoping that they're going to do better outside. Okay, let's see. Next is another type of lily. The flower is almost spent. That's why it looks so raggedy. This is needs to be sprayed. I see there's some snail or something. But these are cone flowers. I'm going to have to spray them. They're looking pretty bad. But they did not come back year before last, but they came back this year. Now this is the partition that we had built. There was two pieces of this that we had built for privacy on the patio. But since I can't use my patio very much, the landlord doesn't want the partition up there, etc. We moved it out here because when I'm sitting in the sitting area, my neighbor, when she comes into her driveway, she and I can just look eye to eye, and it's kind of uncomfortable. Plus, people walking down the street can see me sitting there, and I don't like that. So this just does the trick. It does a perfect job of giving me the privacy I want, and probably what my neighbor wants too. And I've got plants on the other side that's going to grow up it to give me even more privacy. Now this is a very old squirrel. A frog that my daughter gave me over a decade ago. I'm going to plant some flowers in here. I haven't done it yet. Now this hydrangea, every year I have to cut it way back because it gets humongous and the flowers get so big that the limbs just can't hold them up, because I cut it back every year. If I didn't cut it back every year, the limbs wouldn't be so thin, but it would get so big that it just wouldn't be able to support itself. So I cut it back. It's white, flowers, and I forget the name of it, but Jamie gave it to me for Mother's Day a couple years ago. These are the hostas that we dug up to give to my son, and these were left that came up after we had dug up the ones and gave to my son. So I just put them in pots and put them over here in hopes that they'll make it. And this one here is another hosta. It can take the sun better than this one, but we'll see how it works out. Now this is growing so fast. It is a passion flower. It's a vine that grows up real fast, and it has a beautiful purple passion flower on it. And it comes from the fact that in the center of the flower, it looks like Jesus on the cross. You can look it up and it'll show you, but one of my friends down in Texas sent this to me last fall, and in the house it lived. It didn't grow very much, but it lived, and I put it out here, and man, that thing is taken off. Now today we went to Goodwill and I found this beautiful bird cage for $8. I had to have it. I think it's so beautiful. I love bird cages. And I had bought another one, I think it was last year at Goodwill, and it's this one right here. This is my gardenia tree. Now, it looks pretty flimsy looking, doesn't it? Well, it didn't start out that way. Every year we put it on the front porch, and it goes through the winter beautifully. But this year, we had a very late freeze that went to 20 below zero, and it nearly killed it. It's still alive, but you see how naked those limbs are. But there are buds of flowers all over it. So it's still hanging in there. And usually I plant white begonias around there, but I couldn't afford them this year. And these African irises, the yellow ones, they're the ones that the Lord gave me. And they're growing. You see all of them back in here. They haven't bloomed yet. And this is my black crepe myrtle. I'm training to be a tree, and I've got it sitting behind my settee so it'll shade me in the summertime when it finally becomes a tree. I was worried that it wouldn't transplant very well, but it's doing beautifully. It's always a late sprouter, so. This, I forget the name of this. It's a tropical plant. I've always wanted one, but I never bought it because it's tropical. It won't make it in the wintertime. But I did read where it can be brought in the wintertime. Now, a lot of times you can't do that. They don't live through the winter in the house. But this one, it says you can bring it in. So Jamie bought it for me. This is the black hibiscus with the huge dinner plate size flowers when it does bloom. But this bush gets huge, so. And this little green tray it's a metal tray. Where's my curl? It's a metal tray. I got that at Goodwill too. It's got a little metal flower here. Now these are the portulacas that I'm going to plant everywhere I can find. But they're the only plant I could afford to buy today. $3.98 for this amount. Well, that was reasonable. but everything else was just way up there. I mean, they started like at $12.98 and up, and I just can't afford that. So I said, I'm glad I started planting perennials. Those are the coreopsis. And these are coreopsis, but I believe these are the Fiesta Daisy type coreopsis. And these are the dianthus. And this is the salvia right here. And that's corbels in the middle. I don't think it's going to be able to tolerate this sun, though. And that's a daisy. And the petunia. This thing will get 3 times this size right here. It will take up most of this planter. Now these lilies did not come back too well this year. Last year they were so much of it that I had to put this support here for them because there were so many of them, and the flowers were so big the stems couldn't support it. But this year they haven't done anything. I see some poison ivy there that's got to be got out. Now this is the hydrangea bush that we saw over there in the sitting area. Let me see. This piece right here was where I had cut it off last fall, and one of the stems had fallen on the ground, and I didn't pick it up and throw it away. I didn't see it. It rooted. So this taller piece here was from that one. And this one down here, my neighbor gave me, and I rooted that. Now, I don't know what color that is, but this ought to be different. You got a white one here and whatever color this is. And this, I don't think it lived. When we dug up the rose bush, this right here, this little piece was left in the ground, and so Jamie was getting it up and he broke it. And we went ahead, because there was a root on it, and planted it in hopes that it would live, but it doesn't look like it's going to make it. And this is the rose bush. We almost lost it. It looks pitiful. I'm surprised it's alive, because when that cold snap that night, minus 20 degrees, this rose bush was already full and had lots of blooms on it. That's how fast this thing blooms. Well, that minus 20 degree temperature nearly killed it. Only this little piece of it here survived. All of this back here is dead. But I said, the poor thing, it's such a fighter, we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep it. It's already bloomed once this spring, too, and it has such a fragrant bloom. It's red. And this is my Japanese maple, my prized possession. My Jehovah Jireh tree is what I call it. And that's a piece of weed I got to get out of there. And we got petunias, and we got the red and the green sweet potato plant. And I think that's all we got in there, other than the weed. Now this, it's a tall grass, and you can see the green. It's coming back. All of this was from last year. And it has a fluffy top on it. It's really pretty. It comes back every year. And this is morning glories. I planted blue, and I planted a mixed color with seeds. And we laid a wire protection over top of it because the squirrels eat them every time I try to plant them. Then when they got a little bit bigger, I turned the darker colored bird cage upside down over top of it so that they could have a chance to grow without being eaten by the squirrels, because they love the new growth on these things. But once they got too big, I had to take the bird cage off of there, and the squirrels left it alone because now they're not soft and tender like they were. And that's going to grow up big time on this petition here and give me a lot of privacy, and I love morning glories. And this is mandevilla, which will grow up here also and give me a lot of privacy. Now I'm thinking about transplanting some of those morning glories at the other end here. I haven't decided yet. And this is a couple of the hostas that came up that we transplanted. They don't look too good. Now all of my irises here, these here have stopped blooming. And this is the African iris that the Lord gave me from up yonder. I transplanted down here. And, but see, I sit on the other side right here. You can't see me from her driveway or from the road. But then I'm going to have these growing up here. In fact, I'm going to transplant some of these and put them over here so that they'll be all over this thing here, and it won't look so bare here on this side. There's old Fatty sitting there. Okay, guys, there you have it. I'm sorry I was so late getting this to you, but it was no sun out today, so Jamie was able to take the video for me. And when everything is full bloom, we'll do it again, and you can see everything looking much better. Of course, the lilies won't be blooming because they have a short lifespan. All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye.